Anyway, it's just more complicated than it needs to be. Okay. All right, we'll figure this thing out. So Thursday? Yeah, that'd be great. Okay. Where's your office?
Oh, my work office? This is a half mile from my house.
Okay, so 7 o'clock Thursday.
Yeah.
Look forward to it.
Okay, in your office?
Yeah,
Okay.
upstairs.
Cool.
We're doing a proclamation.
Unless you want to be nameless. I've never sat in the same seat.
Good evening. We'd like to welcome you to, what's that? Okay. Good evening. We'd like to welcome you to the Provo Municipal Council meeting tonight. Is this microphone working? Okay, let's see. The red light is off. Okay. Okay, let me know when you're ready.
Kim, can you hear us?
Okay. Good evening. We'd like to welcome you to the Provo Municipal Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, February 16th at 5:33 p.m. This meeting is being broadcast live on YouTube, Provo Channel 17, where it will also be available for on-demand viewing. The council requests that citizens help maintain the decorum of the meeting by turning off electronic devices, being respectful to council members and others, and refraining from applauding during the proceedings of the meeting. We would now like to take the roll call. Can we start with you, Mr. Parker?
Wayne Parker.
John Curtis.
Dave Harding.
Dave Connect.
Dave Sewell?
Kay Van Buren.
Gary Winterton.
Brian Jones.
Chair Santiago is joining us remotely tonight. Thank you for being with us. The opening prayer tonight will be given by Andre Hernandez, who is a member of, I believe, of Boy Scout Troop 51.
Dear kind and gracious Heavenly Father, we are so very grateful for this wonderful day that you've given us today, and we're so very grateful for the opportunity you've given us to come here to this council meeting and learn more about our community. And we ask you to please bless us so that we may learn about what our community does. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. It's my understanding that Troop 51 will now lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Will the audience please rise and make the proclamation? Join our attention, forward march. Please post the state flag. Please post the flag of the United States of America.
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The audience may be seated now.
Thank you. We will now have a neighborhood spotlight presented by Bill Graff, who is the Joaquin Neighborhood Chair.
Okay, so I'm Bill Graff. Some of you may know me. I'm going to talk tonight based on our neighborhood plan, which I think we'll show very shortly. The neighborhood plan started about 4 years ago. I've been active. We have myself as chair and 4 neighborhood chairs, co-chairs. 3 of us have been active in the plan since the very beginning. And I think we're getting closer, but I don't know how close, so I'll continue. It's titled The Peace Plan because we went through a decade or two of quite a bit of chaos in Joaquin County for development. Some people sued the city, including Joaquin neighborhood. Some developers were unhappy. There was quite a bit of dissatisfaction with the whole process. As a result of, not as a result of that, but as a result of the planning process, which the planning department took on, well, mostly they're not here tonight, but they deserve a hearty, silent applause. Because we put a plan together. Aha. Can you good? No, that's not it. Anyway, so we can I do this? Divide my attention. We put a plan together, which was very comprehensive, which represented the aspirations of the neighborhood. And although the city said it belongs to them and not to the neighborhood, we've always felt it was our plan. And when I say our plan, I mean the city and the neighborhood. We've been at this now we're going into our 4th year. The first year we more or less developed the plan. The second year the plan didn't go anywhere, so we had some struggles within the neighborhood. We got the plan approved. Now we're going into our 3rd/4th year. We want to see some of the things that are in the plan actually implemented now, not just talk, but action. And no text files. Show the first picture. No? Okay. Sorry. I grabbed 2. I'm sorry, I'm going to run about. That's what happens when you hear it.
Are you all able to hear him okay, by the way? You might want to lean into the microphone just a little bit, or raise it up there.
Okay. If I can hear myself, so I hope they can hear me. Anyway, we call it the peace plan because since this plan has been adopted, we haven't had neighborhood struggles of the kind that make people really angry. We haven't had shouting matches with anyone from the city that I'm aware of. We haven't made as much progress maybe as we'd like to have, but that in itself is progress because it enables things to happen. And some elements of the plan are actually being implemented, surprisingly, maybe, strangely enough. The Provo Greenway, which I won't be able to show you, which is 2nd Street East from Center to University. How about the next one? That's not the beginning. Can you go back to the beginning? Okay, now next one. Okay, I'm going to go real fast now to make up. What is Joaquin? We're 10% of the city's population, only one of 30-some neighborhoods, but we have a large number of population. We're located between two giants, BYU and downtown Provo. And out of this neighborhood comes the future leaders of Provo.
Just talk directly to the council members. That way we
Okay,
can hear you.
okay, I'm sorry. Anyway, we're home the future leaders of Provo, future leaders of Utah, and the future leaders of the U.S. So it's really strategic and long-term planning. And we have way more parking spaces than we have people, which alerts you to one of the problems that we have is sometimes parking seems to be more important than people. So I would ask you, as you work on the new parking study that's involved, there's very little about Joaquin in that plan. And I suggest to you that there are real needs that can be satisfied without lots of money or without inconveniencing a lot of other people, but we do need to be heard. We want to be at the table when the parking decisions are made so that our small, meager, specific needs can be addressed as part of the total plan. Next. Next. I gave a speech at the neighborhood election where I was elected, and I said, our neighborhood is for everybody. And by everybody, I normally say seniors, families, children, students, etc. Tonight, I'm going to say it's for automobile drivers, it's for bicyclers, and it's for pedestrians. We all live in the same area, we all share, and Joaquin, more than any other neighborhood, has all of those. We have more pedestrians than we have bicyclers, way more. I did an informal survey, and I counted 10 times more pedestrians going to BYU than I saw bicyclers. So pedestrian needs are really great. Next. Well, this just shows you where we are between BYU and downtown. Next. Okay, what do we want? We want the city's plan. Notice how you say city's plan? We want our plan, the city's plan, to be executed expeditiously. We just want to keep making progress on it. Next. The three things that we picked out that we think are important to us, one is that black line, which is 2nd East, and that represents which is what we call the Joaquin Greenway, which is meant for pedestrians, children, bicyclers. Probably the least important thing on that road are automobiles because they have all the other roads. In the middle is a little green box with a circle around that intersection. That's Joaquin Park, smallest park in the city, the biggest amount of usage, and there's traffic issues there because 4th is a collector road. We want to improve that so that people are safer. We can add a couple hundred square feet to the park, make everybody's use safer, make the street safer, make that a more attractive area. The next circle down is 4th East and 2nd North, and that's an eyesore. It's been there ever since I've lived in Provo, the last 25 years or 20 or 25 years. It's an old store. There's a new owner. We're talking to the new owner. We're talking to the city. We think we can beautify that corner and erase what basically a black mark on the city and a black mark on Joaquin. Might require little zoning adjustments, which we hope we'll get support at the right time. I'm honored to be here. I'm very thankful that you listen, and I hope on the occasion when we may need a little support, we'll come back and you'll say, great, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Graff. I'm impressed with the Joaquin Neighborhood Committee, I guess you'd call it. You've got a strong group of leaders there, a number of vice chairs. I see several of them here tonight, and we appreciate what you're doing for your neighborhood. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the minutes from our January 5th and our February 2nd public council meetings. Are there any questions or change requests on those two sets of minutes? If not, I will look for a motion to approve them.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Connect. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Harding. All in favor? That motion passes unanimously.
Mr. Chair, or Vice Chair, may I make a comment on that?
Yes.
Reading through those minutes were a little bit difficult. But one thing that it drove home to me is what an excellent job our staff does in preparing those minutes. They were very detailed. I felt like it very fairly represented the thoughts that were shared during those contentious meetings, and I thought that I just think that our staff does very well, and I appreciate their efforts on that.
Thank you. Was that Janine Weiss that prepared those minutes? Our city recorder on this particular case. Thank you. And I had the same impression as I was reading that, and also had the impression that probably a lot of time went into this particular set of minutes. So thank you again. So we have a presentation tonight from the Covey Center, the Andrews Brothers, and the presentation is to be given by Dan James, or Paul Dearden, I guess.
I thought I was actually going to be in a conference and I wouldn't be able to make it here. So before I start, I've got to move the podium. So a few things out of the way so they don't fall off. And there will still be something that will fall off. Okay. On February the 25th, we have a show that will be opening called The Andrews Brothers. And a lot of people have been asking us, who are the Andrews Brothers? We know who the Andrews sisters are, but we don't know who the Andrews Brothers are. Think back to World War II. The Andrews sisters are out on tour. And during the course of the tour, as their plane is coming into the next location, they find out that they've all got the chicken pox, and they can't go on stage. Peggy Jones is new to the USO tour and is just joining the Andrews sisters. This is her big break. So Peggy Jones is trying to convince the stage crew to go on and do the Andrews sisters songs. There's your setup. Here are the Andrews Brothers.
You've got to accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, latch on to the affirmative. Don't mess with Mr. In-Between.
Thank you. Love the singing and love the message of the song. We will now have a proclamation to the Eureka City Boy Scout Month, Provo Troop 51, presented by Mayor Curtis.
Thank you, Councilman Sewell and council members. May I invite these great young men to come up and stand maybe here on each side so you're not blocking the audience and not blocking the council, and would the leaders come join as well? While they're coming up, and before I share the proclamation, I think as you look at these young men, you would agree with me that you would have to look long and hard for a scout troop, better organized, sharper dressers, better in uniforms than this troop right here. They're an amazing group. Thanks. Yeah, just anywhere that works for you, gentlemen. So I'm in conflict right now because one of the scoutmasters and I have a little ritual that we do every time we see each other, and I'm not sure it's appropriate, but come here, Justin. Thank you. So this troop has been in existence 100 years, and it's Provo's first Boy Scout troop, and near to the state's first Boy Scout troop, and the first one's still in operation. Did I get that correct? And they're amazing. You can see these young men that they work with. I've been around scouts a lot. I've been a scoutmaster myself, and to produce this type of young men from your program definitely shows us what an amazing program they have. And we wanted to bring them here tonight to celebrate their 100th anniversary and recognize them for this outstanding 100 years of service. And I know one of the scoutmasters, not the one I got the hug from, but I know one of them's been here for 100 years. And so, council members, may I read this proclamation to you? Recognizing the 100th anniversary of Boy Scout Troop 51, whereas Boy Scout Troop 51 was established in 1916 in Eureka, Utah, and relocated to Provo shortly after, it's now chartered by the Provo Elks Lodge, number 849, and has been a solid part of our community. And whereas Troop 51, which began as Troop 1, is the oldest running troop in Utah and one of the oldest in the western United States. And whereas Troop 51 is Utah's largest independent troop. And whereas Troop 51 has a proud history of service to the community and the nation through the patrol method, community service projects, and leadership development, this boy-led troop develops their scout leadership and character. And whereas since 1960, thousands of scouts have participated in the troop, and many of the troop's members have earned scouting's highest achievement, the Eagle rank. And whereas Troop 51 has had a far-reaching positive impact on our community by providing youth with a safe and exciting environment in which to learn the value of citizenship, service, teamwork, fitness, and leadership. Now, therefore, I, John R. Curtis, Mayor of the City of Provo, do hereby join the Boy Scouts of Troop 51 and their families, leaders, and volunteers in celebrating the troop's 100th anniversary. Congratulations to all of you. Thank you for raising future citizens of Provo. Now, I understand that you have a big event coming up that you would like the community to be aware of. Is there somebody that would like to tell us about that? John, are you the... Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Curtis, for your kind words for our troop. We are just a little more background. We're a non-LDS, LDS sanctioned Boy Scout troop, which is quite unusual in Utah County. We're an independent community scout troop. Unfortunately, we don't have the funds from the LDS Church, which is real nice. I've done scouting on both sides of the fence for a lot of years, and it's nice to have that backing from the LDS Church. So we have to get creative and figure out ways to earn money, because it costs money, just as you all know here, to run a city or run a scout troop. Last summer, our troop, I had the privilege of my 7th consecutive summer camp with this scout troop, and we went to Camp Meriwether on the coast of Oregon, up by Tillamook, Oregon. Now figure how you transport 27 that how many? We had 27 young men and about 14 or 15 leaders, and all the gear, 1,000 miles to scout camp. And that, it's quite an undertaking. It takes money to do that, and effort and planning. But that's what we do. These young men learn how to fundraise, and they learn how to do service, and they learn how to do great things in scouting. It's a privilege for me personally to be involved with this scout troop. But with that being said, our biggest fundraiser that we do every year, we have a spaghetti dinner that we do, and our home is the Elks Lodge now, has been for the last couple, 2 or 3 years, and we have a big spaghetti dinner there. We expect this year to serve about 700 people, and the scouts are responsible for ticket sales for that event, and all of the money that's raised from that event, it goes directly to the benefit of the scouts for their summer camp and for their equipment, uniforms, and that sort of thing. So with that being said, I would like to invite everybody here to grab one of these young scouts and buy yourself a ticket to go to the spaghetti dinner. Our spaghetti dinner is partnered with Jack Marvell and Marvell Catering, so it's a fine affair. And I wish I had more time. I know the red light's going to start blinking on me here.
How much is it?
Anyway, the tickets are $10 for adults, $5 for children, $38 for a family. You can buy those tickets online. You can show up March 5th. Saturday night is when the dinner is from 5 till, is it 5? 4:30 till 8. And I promise you, you'll have a Marvell food experience with one of the best scouting experiences you have in your life. Thank you again for allowing us to be here in Provo. We love this city. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Scouts.
Thank you. We'll now move on to the public comment portion of our meeting. The public comment segment of this meeting is an opportunity for any person in attendance to comment on matters that do not appear as a public hearing on the agenda. Items not scheduled for public hearing are item number 3. That's actually, I think, the only thing on the agenda tonight, and I don't see a lot of people here, so I'm not opposed. If there is someone that would like to speak to us regarding that item, regarding our new ERP Provo 360 system, to allowing you to come up and comment at that time. Please begin your, but right now we are in the public comment portion where you can speak on any matter. Please begin your comments by stating your name and city of residence. Should you not wish to speak, but instead to have your statement read aloud by the recorder, please provide her with a copy of that statement. The council and administration will not take any formal action on matters that arise during this public comment portion. And those with comments are invited now to approach the podium.
Hi, my name is Celeste Kennard. I live at 160 North, 400 East in Provo. I just wanted to state something. Bill Graff is my neighborhood chair in Joaquin, and he mentioned about adding some square footage to the park, and I bet you were thinking, what is he talking about? We've been studying a lot about bulb outs, and I don't know if you're familiar with the concept, but just think of like a thing at the corner that makes it a little easier for people to get across. We've seen some of them that you can create it in such a way that there's a little space, like you could have benches or something, and if you did that at the four corners there near the Joaquin Park, you would effectively add park space without actually having to buy any land. And the same thing on 2nd East, if you included little things like parklets, you could, I know during the wrap tax, it passed with a majority of the votes, and people are looking for more park space, and there's a lot of people in Joaquin, and not, I think there's one parcel of land that doesn't have a dwelling or some building on it. This little method of the parklets is a great idea. Hopefully, there's an email that Susan Kruger-Barber sent you that shows you kind of what these things look like for anybody that doesn't know. And then I just wanted to say something about the zoning comment that Bill made. I know a couple of you, Dave Connect and George Stewart, were here before and knew what a big deal zoning was in the past in Joaquin, and I think we have a good plan, and I encourage you to ask questions of the neighbors and everything, and I think we'll have continued success.
Thank you.
Hey, friends. My name is Susan Kruger-Barber. I live in Provo in the Joaquin neighborhood, and I'm a huge fan of parklets. I'm full of ideas, and I would love to email you amazing ones. But one of my biggest passions is parking. I'm a super nerd and super fun because I love to talk about parking all the time at dinner parties everywhere. And with our 45-foot wide streets, we do need cars because otherwise the design speed is so dangerous. We do need cars on the sides of our streets, but we need them in a smart way. We also need them not to block our sidewalks at intersections or our driveways and our views while driving at intersections. These are huge problems that are daily occurrences, and there are these really passionate people in our neighborhood who have created a photo thing that we can upload of all of the parking violations in our neighborhood. We also have problems with cars that just have been abandoned, and people have called in a lot and they're still there in our neighborhood. In the 2010 census, our population was 14,742, and our off-street parking was conservatively 12,744 spaces, and this isn't counting the street parking. So we have tons of parking in Joaquin. We just aren't using it effectively. 23% of our neighborhood has been paved over, and we really need we would love to be a priority, and we would love to have this alleviated. We need a plan. We need people working to get this implemented for our unique neighborhood, and it's something that comes up every meeting constantly. It's a priority in our neighborhood, and we would love this to be done. Thanks.
Thank you.
My name is Kevin Garver. I live at 391 North, 2330 West in Provo. I'd like to thank the City Council members, Mayor Curtis, Mr. Parker, for allowing me to address you this evening. It is with great frustration that I take to this very public forum to address you tonight. It has come to my attention that on numerous occasions that you've consciously and willfully left my council representative, Mr. Van Buren, and Representative Winterton out of critical council discussions because they would represent an opposing viewpoint. Not just once, but on multiple occasions. Do you realize that by silencing my representative, you are literally silencing the voice of my voice, the voices of my neighbors, and the voices of the majority of the West Side citizens of Provo? How can you even begin to think that that's an okay practice? Let me be clear, it's not the best practice here in Provo to silence any voices just because they oppose yours or the majority opinion. May I make a suggestion? It only takes one of you to stand up to the rest and say this is enough of this type of politics. Mr. Sewell, will you be that person? If you will, remember prior to your election to the City Council, I met with you. I asked you how you would handle opposition on the council, how you could foster collaboration. I recall that you went into great detail about how you helped to facilitate communication between you, the city, and the builder of a senior living center that was being built in your neighborhood. You were quick to help me realize that with productive communication and bringing what seemed opposing visions together, you helped the feelings in your neighborhood to become more positive, and it actually made the project, the facility, and the neighborhood better than it was before. I truly believe that that is who you are. Will you be that person? Mr. Connect, will you be that person? On a number of occasions, you and I have sat by the fireside at Catherine Allen's home, and I listened to you tell me about how you cared for the one and the overall good of the city. I also allowed you to take time with the Provo Farmers Market manager during farmers market hours to discuss concerns and options that would help make her neighborhood, which is not yours, a better, more secure neighborhood to live in. You also bridged the communication between the city, the state, and the contractors to help make South State Street one of the prettiest streets in the city. I know that is who you are. Will you be that person? A number of years ago, my then 16-year-old son walked into the boys' locker room at his high school. There were a couple of boys in the room using very foul language. When my son could take it no longer, he stood up to these boys and told them not only that they were using the words incorrectly in sentences, he was very tired of witnessing this type of behavior. If my 16-year-old son can stand up to his peers and condemn their actions, then you, Mr. Sewell, and Mr. Connect, should be able to stand up to your peers and say, that is enough. No more silencing my voices, the voices of my neighbors and the voices of large pockets of citizens of Provo. Will you be that one?
Thank you, Mr. Garber. I'm not sure, there may be a few council members that would want to comment on that, but let's see if there's any other citizens who have come to comment. Are there any other comments? If not, we'll close the public comment portion. Are there any of you that would like to say anything in regards to Mr. Garber's comments? I will. Well, go ahead, Mr. Winter.
I just want to thank, that was a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing for Kevin to do, and I know that's his opinion, and I appreciate that, and I respect the idea that we need, as a council, we want to work together, and I believe that we're making great strides in that effort. So, Kevin, thank you for doing something that was kind of hard, and I just appreciate all the citizens who want to be involved and support their council members and feel like that they have a voice in the community. So, thank you.
I think I'd like to make a few comments. Be nice to have had a chance to think about this a little bit, but I suppose I have been thinking about it all month long. I respect every member of this council, and I appreciate your plea and the very polite and respectful way that it was given. I hope I don't disappoint you in saying this, but I feel that all along I have reached out and wanted to include every member of this council in everything that we do. And there was a very unusual situation that happened in regard to the transition from the old to the new council. It probably wouldn't be too productive to go into too many details about all of that, but each council member did have an opportunity to voice their opinion on that zoning question at the appropriate time. And there are a couple of things I would have done differently, but it was never my intent to leave anyone out. I don't think anyone was bullied or pressured into doing something that they weren't comfortable with. If we had known about the issue with the inauguration, we would have moved that to Monday. That's one thing I would have done differently. We were advised to do it the way that we did and didn't realize that anyone would be concerned about that. So that's something I would have done different. And the other thing that I would have done different is after the inauguration, scheduled meetings with the two council members and the mayor to discuss the reasons for why we took the course that we did. I've had a chance to meet with two of them since then. I'm hoping to meet with the third to discuss that particular issue. But I think that's about it, unless anyone else has something like to add. I want to do and be all those things that you said, and that's why I'm here. So
I'd like to add.
Mm-hmm.
I just want you to know the legislative process is difficult. I want you to know that the men and women that serve on this council are honorable people and do honorable things, try to do the best for the citizens and the neighborhoods that they represent. And so I think that the public needs to know, and I've received many comments that they appreciated, particularly the neighborhood, what was done for their neighborhood.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Anyone else?
Yeah. Thank you, Kevin, for coming up and being brave. And I think if you come to some of our work meetings or other meetings, feel free. I think you'll see that we're doing our best to work together and trying to learn as we go along.
Thank you, Mr. Connect. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you, Chair Santiago. Anyone else? Let me just add one more thing. I totally agree with what Chair Santiago said. It's a real privilege and honor to work with every member of this council. It's interesting sometimes when I read on social media people who ascribe motives from a distance to people that I've worked with very closely and had a front row seat, and I can assure you these are all devoted, dedicated public servants who want nothing but what's in the best interest of the citizens of Provo, and it's an honor to serve you in this way. So thank you. We only have one agenda item tonight, but I want to throw one little extra thing in here. We've occasionally talked amongst ourselves as a council about the possibility of somehow allowing remote access to our council meetings, interactive access beyond just watching on the video. So I'm just going to do a quick little experiment. For all those of you who are watching and listening, I don't know how many there are, 5 or 10, or hopefully a few more than that, but if you have something on your mind that you would have wanted to be able to say to us right now during this public comment period, if we had the capability to either dial in by telephone or Skype or something like that, could you just send me a text message right now? I won't be able to respond right now, but I'm just curious if there's anybody out there that would want to have that capability that's listening to us right now. So if you would like to see us try to work that out, send me a text message to 801-380-5103. That's 801-380-5103. Thank you. Okay. We'll move on to the only agenda item we have for tonight, which is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute all agreements regarding the implementation of Provo 360, which is a citywide software solution. And this exciting item will be presented by our Chief Administrative Officer, Wayne Parker.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. We have spent a fair amount of time with the council over the last couple of weeks, including about 45 minutes earlier today, talking about Provo 360 and what we're asking you to do this evening. So I'd just like to give a quick introduction to the concept and then be happy to respond to any questions that you have. Provo 360 is really an effort, if you think about the city as a sphere, it's the opportunity for us to take a 360-degree look from both the inside of the sphere as well as from the outside into the sphere. And so it's really about replacing a lot of our old legacy software with new, more transparent, more interactive software, which will advance our e-government initiative and will make quite a number of changes in terms of our ability to more effectively manage the city, to measure the performance of the city in a variety of aspects. We are reaching the end of life at a number of our systems. In fact, as we talked today, the community development package is not only on life support, it's beyond life support, and we're kind of waiting for it to slowly die. There is a lack of integration. We have a number of e-government applications we've been dying to do but can't because we can't use our old software to do new things. And we're trying to increase transparency. It's one of the key initiatives of both the administration and the council historically. So we built an internal team which has done, given literally thousands and thousands of hours to the process of selecting a new software vendor and beginning an implementation process. We think, again, it will do an awful lot for us, both internally as well as for our external customers. We have about 200 disparate technology stacks in our organization that have developed kind of organically over the years. Most of them don't talk to each other, and when they do, it takes a human intervention to do multiple data entries, some of which generate human errors, and we're anxious to try to resolve that particular issue. So we went through a process of identifying 3 different options for what we might choose to do. One was what we categorized as the life support option, which was just keeping things running to the extent we could. That life support option, total cost of ownership over 7 years was about $10.5 million. We could upgrade critical components, still not getting to the interactivity, still not changing the amount of effort we had to spend to keep a system alive, and that would cost us about $13 million. And then we came up with option 3, which is to replace our existing software, and that rivaled the first cost. It was only a couple $100,000 difference over 7 years. And so it created what we are now calling Provo 360. And Josh, if you want to just, can you put our next item up there? That kind of shows very quickly what we're proposing to do here, replacing these 300 disparate systems with a cohesive integrated system. There we go. That has 4 key components and then a lot of interaction with some of our other programs, including police dispatch and fire management, things that aren't typical to an organization, but still very important for us. So again, what we're asking the council to do this evening is really 2 things. One is to authorize the mayor to execute all the appropriate agreements, which includes a lease agreement, service agreement, support agreement. In addition to that, the lease agreement also includes the purchase mechanism that we're proposing to use here, which is a 7-year lease purchase agreement, which will constitute about $5.5 million of that little over $10 million 7-year investment. And so we're excited about the opportunity. We are a little bit faint of heart about the next 3 years as we implement this process in two 18-month stages. But we are very excited about the outcome and excited to offer our citizens a single login to access all of our e-government applications. So you can log in one place and pay your utility bill, sign up your child for youth sports, register and purchase a membership at the recreation center, do an awful lot of things that you could do that you now have to do either on person or through multiple systems. So we're very excited about increasing transparency, increasing the ability to interact with our residents, and significantly increasing our ability to effectively manage the city organization day to day. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you have. The resolution that's before you essentially authorizes the mayor to execute those agreements. We've shared those with you. We've been through a pretty robust Q&A today, and so again, happy to answer or respond to any questions that you might have.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Parker from the council?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. This item isn't officially noticed for a public hearing, but if any of you are interested in ERP systems and have something you'd like to tell us about this, I'd welcome you to make a comment this time. Mr. Garver.
My name is Kevin Garver. I live at 391 North, 2330 West. That's what I do for a living, ERP systems. New Skin 10 years ago, more like 12 years ago, decided they would go through this very process of moving from very disparate systems to one ERP system. It took a little longer than was expected, so don't hold your breath at 3 years is my recommendation. But New Skin cannot live without the ERP system that they have now. In fact, so much so that we have most of it in Phoenix, Arizona, just in case something here in Provo should happen, so that New Skin could continue to survive. To be able to come off of multiple disparate systems, which cost an extreme amount of money, is very cost effective. I would recommend you move forward with your implementation. And that was an easier presentation than before.
Thank you, Mr. Garver.
Mr. Chairman, could I just mention one other thing? I did get a list from Kayenta, who is our software provider, of some of their current customers. So I'll just share a few names with you, probably cities you might recognize. College Station, Texas, Everett, Washington, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Gresham, Oregon, Henderson, Nevada, Idaho Falls, Kansas City, Kansas, Milpitas, California, Rochester, Minnesota, Waukegan, Illinois, among their 89 current municipal clients. So again, names that cities roughly our size that also have electric utilities and have a lot of things in common with us. So anyway.
Great, thank you. It's comforting to know this is a proven system that's out there and working, and
Yep, it is.
great, thank you. Well, I'd just like to make a comment. Also, I made this comment earlier, but I'm a software developer by background, and as our IT director was explaining the city's current predicament of all these aging, non-integrated systems, some of them homegrown, I just felt like breaking out into a sweat. So I'm excited about this new system and the capabilities that it will offer. And even though there's an upfront expense, it will definitely save us money over the long run and provide us just a wealth of capabilities that we don't currently have. So,
I got a comment.
are there other comments?
Just wanted to add that one of the council priorities, and I believe also the administration, is that we want to be more efficient and accountable and transparent when it comes to what services we offer, how much they cost, and that way we can, as a council, evaluate our decisions better on what we're allocating resources to, and this will bring the picture into focus, at least we hope it will, so we can have a better handle on our budget and what we're getting for the money we invest.
Mr. Stewart?
I'd like to thank the administration and the staff who have spent thousands and thousands of hours in bringing this to pass. This is a difficult thing to do, and I'm just so happy that they've been willing to take it on. And then this next 3 years will be interesting for them. It will be a real challenge, but I'm confident that the administration and staff will do it well. And thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Mr. Winterton?
And the department heads and departments, they're making some sacrifices. We are doing this without, at this point, tax increases. And there's sacrifices that are being made because ultimately it's going to save money in the end over a few years. But right now, there's a few sacrifices that are being made up front to be able to save us some money down the road. It's an investment in our future, and I'm grateful for that.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? If not, I'll look for a motion.
I move to adopt.
Mr. Stewart, a motion for Mr. Stewart. Do we have a second by Mr. Harding? All those in favor? The motion passes unanimously. I think that's it, folks. Oh, we're a few minutes before 6:30, Mayor. You know what that means.
Yeah, we're averaging out. The meetings that go to 12 kind of counteract with some of these that get done at.
He's supposed to buy us ice cream if we finish before 6:30, just so you know out there. Put the pressure on him.
All right, I'm in. Whoever wants it.
Okay, I guess better call for a motion to adjourn quickly then. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Mr. Connect, second. Mr. Van Buren, all in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.